Hello, true believers. Time to do another vlog, and I was actually going to do the judicial affidavit here finally. Excuse the delays. I was busy the last couple of days. For example, there was this one science assignment. It was actually chemistry where we had to use the energy ladder to demonstrate the chemical properties of an atom. And we were up all night until like 3 in the morning, and we finally got to bed 4 in the morning. Like, that was Sunday night. So Monday, and then Monday we had so I was pretty hungover the next day. We were. Then Monday we had another quiz in English. It was about Beowulf and the Canterbury Tales. So we were busy doing that. Yesterday we didn't even get to exercise. We didn't even get to go for a run. So we were busy doing that all day yesterday. So today we have another quiz in social science. But that's later on this afternoon. So I said, you know what? I got to get this out of the way. I got to get this done. So here we go. First of all, thank you again, Jim Bob, for your contribution. I used the contribution he made to order some shoes for Hero for his birthday. So that should be coming pretty soon. If not this week, then next week. So thanks again, Jim Bob. So special shout out to Jim Bob again for his generosity. Jim Bob, you are a gentleman and a scholar. He's always making comments. So thanks again, Jim Bob. So before I get to the judicial affidavit, that was round 2 or round 3. I mean, there were 3 cases filed against me of human trafficking in 3 different courts. I repeat, triple jeopardy. And you're thinking, what? Triple jeopardy? This is the Philippines, okay? Even triple jeopardy exists. It's just the way they do things over here. From a Western mind, you would think that it's impossible or ass backward, but that's just the way it is. It is culture. You're not here to deny it or to reject it. You're just here to learn, okay? And that's what I did. So the first round over here, as you can see, let's recap over here, resolution over here. So I got human trafficking. This is the resolution. We already went through this, the court's ruling. The judge already says, however, it reaches until that point shown by concrete evidence, only suspicion may be excited for one's mind. Must remember that suspicion, no matter how strong, is not evidence. I repeat, suspicion is not evidence. So everybody what else is it going to take? Okay. Everybody always saying that I'm this, I'm that. I mean, here's a judge saying, not one judge, but 3 judges. And they've already seen all the evidence. What the hell do you want? Okay, they already did a search warrant. They already took everything that I have. They already went through my electronic equipment. And he says, there is no evidence of human trafficking. What else? Are you the judge? Here it is in black and white that is saying that I am innocent as far as the law is concerned. I mean, whoever has not sinned, be the first one to cast the first stone. Of course, I'm not that person. But as far as the law concerned, as far as the law, the land is concerned, I am innocent, okay? And that's not because of a technicality, not because I paid anybody off. It's because it's the truth. Even the judge says he had everything. He even allowed it, even if there was no search warrant, even if it was fruit from the poisonous tree, there was no search warrant, because the law says you have to have not only a search warrant to search somebody's house, but to open somebody's electronic equipment, you need a second search warrant. We should have won there on the technicality, but because the judge was under pressure, under media, if he would have dismissed it on that technicality, then people would have said, oh, he would have been paid off or he would have been bought off. Okay, but he didn't. But that's not the case over here. He allowed every piece of evidence, regardless that it didn't have a search warrant. That's the law. You can look it up yourself. I'll look it up myself. You need a second search warrant because it makes sense. I mean, you should be able, with the first search warrant, you should be able to get evidence based on it. Because it's electronic, you have to open it, fine. Then get a second search warrant. It's easy, but they didn't. So the judge says that it's just suspicion. The thrust of the prosecution's theory is that the accused is engaged in prostitution. That's not the case, okay? To be sure, it might be contended that what the accused did may be prelude to him offering their sexual services to others utilizing the internet, as may be plausible under the circumstances. There is no evidence of it. This did not happen. He said this produced, and it's like, but there is no evidence of this adduced. Until then, contention, while consistent with profiling, means a supposition. It's just, this is all just suspicion, okay? All you're doing is, you're saying this is a lot of suspicion just because he's black or he's a beaner and he's standing in the corner does not make him a pimp or does not make him a drug dealer in South Central or Compton. So he even did the classic example over here. This is human trafficking. Here the elements are human trafficking here easily, okay? Somebody comes in and offers you girls for sex. The girls show up. You give them money. The transaction is complete. Boom, done. And when I started Bebels Only, what are we talking about? 2009. So you're talking about 13 years ago. I used to get a call once a week from people asking like, "Hey, I like the girls in your videos. How much?" And I always say, what do you mean by how much? I mean, these girls are available for sex, right? And I said, are you saying you're looking for prostitutes? And he goes, yeah. Why else do you have girls on your video? And I said, well, if you're looking for prostitutes, I go, where are you at? And he goes, I'm in Manila. And I go, are you close to Quezon City? There's like tons and tons over there. Why do you have to come to me? You can go directly straight to them. There's over there. He goes, yeah, but I like the girls in your videos. And he goes, why? Because they're not prostitutes. And I said, oh, because they're not prostitutes. All right, we're clearly here. Just like I think when we were doing it was because I said we're just social networking. This is our own social network, and what we do is we verify the people in it. And I said I'm verifying you. And if I said if you're just looking for prostitutes, then go look for. Then do you have so many out there already? And in terms of human trafficking, you don't need somebody to sell them. They sell themselves. I already said. I mean, if you know anything about the Philippines, it's like the own parents will sell their own daughters to you. So I don't need to get in the middle of that. I just have to say, here's somebody that I met. They're verified. Well, what do I do? What do I come in? It's like what value do I? What service? What value do I bring to the table? I go, number one, she's pretty. I mean, number one, she's a woman. Okay, now you're not going to be able to verify that. No, I think the biggest problem is because you're in another country. So number one, I make sure she's a woman. Now for like somebody, for example, like Scott Pemberton, he had sex with another person and he didn't even know it was a woman until after he had sex with him. And then can you imagine that? You had sex with another person and it wasn't a woman. So he was so embarrassed by the whole situation that he got scammed, that he had sex and it was not a woman, it was a man. So he ended up killing him. And the good news is he only did 5 years in prison and he's scot-free now. So that go figure. Me, I did almost 3 years in prison and I'm completely innocent and I didn't kill anybody and I didn't hurt anybody, based on, as you could see, on the medical legal exam. No injuries, even to her hymen, no injuries. Okay, no general injuries, no injuries. There is no injuries. I did not hurt anybody. I didn't kill anybody. So there you go. Still, I went to prison. So back to what I was saying here. Number one, I make sure they're a woman. Number two, I make sure that they're pretty. Okay, now that's another. So most people, most Westerners, most Americans, most Europeans, most other Asian countries, not even, but definitely like the Germans. They for some reason they like a lot of the lady boys. Well, when you walk by them, I always tell them, hey, I'm straight. I don't like. I like women, and they always say, try it, you might like it. And especially the Germans. They probably are straight, but when they tried it, They liked it. So there you go. They like other men that are women, that are made to look like women. But anyway, that's them. That's no judgment. If you tried it, you liked it, that's fine. But there are people out there, maybe like I said, I can count in one hand, maybe 5 of you that want a real woman. And number 2, I make sure they're pretty. So that is a big, huge problem. Over here, we have what's called American taste, which means the uglier, the better. So there's nothing more common here than seeing a white guy or a foreigner or an old guy with like the ugliest, darkest, shortest, nastiest pirate, prostitute, bar girl you've ever seen. And it's so common, and people are actually, it's a meme now. It's so common. And when you ask people, they always say, when I interview people, I should interview one of these people over here. When I ask, hey, why do Americans or Westerners or white people or foreigners or expats, why do they like the ugliest prostitutes? And they said, oh, because when it's ugly, then they're not going to cheat on them. It was actually in the Canterbury Tales. If you want a beautiful girl, then it automatically they say that it's automatically they're gonna cheat on you. Yes, they're gonna get offers and suitors if they're beautiful, but it doesn't mean just because they're pretty, they're beautiful, you can't prejudge them. There's plenty. If you get the person at the right time, they're going to be loyal to you, which is a Filipina trait, which is a woman. Women will be loyal if you find the right woman. Now, the problem is if you've got a ugly prostitute, well, there's going to be no loyalty. Remember, like a lot of the foreigners or the expats they end up with prostitutes, bar girls, and maybe the sad part is they don't even know about it. So number 2, I make sure that they're pretty. How do I know they're pretty? Well, if you're a guy, you can answer these questions yourself. People always ask me, what is my criteria? When the girls always get upset at me, it's like when I look at when I interview a girl or when I see a girl, I first evaluate their pictures, and they always ask me that, and they always say all their friends are pretty, and I go, just because they're your friend, it doesn't mean they're pretty. We're all pretty. But there are going to be some girls where it causes a chemical reaction in your brain and goes to other parts of your brain, which causes the blood flow. And that's pretty much how I operate. I let my own natural body chemicals to decide if a girl is pretty enough. And you know what, when you see a girl and you get that reaction, she has what's called sex appeal. Now, if she's ugly, I'm not going to have a chemical reaction. If I find her unattractive, I'm at the point where she can not only have to be attractive, she has to have that special kind of it factor. And most of the girls, especially in the first generation, including Joy and all the other girls in the first generation, they have that it factor. It was unbelievable how I was able to interview so many. I mean, I interviewed 100 girls in the first generation. So not only do they have the parity, they have to have an it factor. And number 3 is I make sure they're not. This one's kind of combined, is that they're not bar girls or single moms. Now, I'll admit, in the first generation, there was one girl. Eventually, I found it's not a secret. Is that she was a single mom. She was actually got pregnant when she was 13. She had the baby when she was 14. And I think I met her when she was 15. And I knew her for several years. And I disclosed this fact before anybody would actually get involved in her life. And I said, oh, are you still, it's like, oh, I'm interested in getting to know or meeting or getting involved with so-and-so. And I said, oh, by the way, she's a single mom. And when I accepted her, I didn't know about it, but eventually I found out about it. So I wanted to disclose that she's a single mom. And he said, oh, okay, well, just as long as she's not a bar girl. Well, she's not a bar girl yet, but she might be if you don't intervene. So he said he wanted to intervene. It's like, I can accept the baby and so forth and so on. So I said, fine. But generally speaking, I make sure I'll find that out. That usually there's no secrets here in the Philippines. You'll end up finding out. So those are my main three criteria: that they're verified. Number one, they're real women. Number two, they're pretty, and number three, they're not bar girls and or single moms. Now, when you come over here, naturally a lot of foreigners, a lot of Westerners, Australians come here. They already strike one in the first one. They end up with lady boys, and then once you cross that line, it's a dark path. I've never crossed that line, and there were times you could say that oh, you were drunk, the lighting was bad. I've been without another human being for years, maybe decades. So I mean, I could, but just because it's there and it's easy and it's accessible and it's another human being doesn't mean you have you have options. But if you don't take those options, and the sad part is I'm the only option. So strike one. But but you end up coming here. You actually meet a girl, and like I said, it's if she's ugly, you don't really care, just as long as for but so they don't so the biggest problem is for Westerners over here. Number one is they don't know that it's a woman. Number two, they don't know what's pretty and what's not. It's ugly. And number three is they don't know if it's a bar girl or a prostitute. So but okay, but what's only you're really intelligent when it comes to what they don't know. But what they do know. Well, here's what I tell you what they do know. Here's what I've observed myself personally is what they do know is number one, that they don't know if it's a man or woman, but they do know if it's young or not. So I never see anybody with an old hag. I usually see somebody young. Usually like brain dead. There's usually like a 40-year difference. So number one is at least they know the difference between young and old. I never see them with an old. So if somebody's in their 40s, I never see them with another one in their 30s, or it's always somebody in their 20s or younger when I see these foreigners. So number one, they like young, and number two is they know the difference between fat and skinny. So usually they're skinny, but most of the people here are thin because they're poor, and food is the most expensive commodity over here. So when people don't have money for food, they're usually they know the difference. So they're always kind of young, they're always kind of skinny or thin. And what was the third one? I forgot. There was a third one, but usually as long as they're available, they're convenient. So just as long as they're young, just as long as they're skinny, and that they're available, they're convenient, is the three things that they know when they deal with it. So those are the biggest problem is when it comes to pretty girls that are not single moms, not prostitutes, the real girls that are not. But when it comes to like lady boys or single moms, or those are always getting lots of them available over here. But you're not gonna find, for example, a young virgin over here that's going to be available. They're definitely not going to be available to you. And over again, you see these foreigners making girlfriends or relationships out of hookers, out of prostitutes, out of bar girls. And it always ends up tragic. Not only loss of emotion, money, time. So make sure you get the right one. And like I said, it's only what happened to you. I mean, I've been doing for so long. Eventually, something bad is going to happen. I've always been flipping the coin for like 13 years. Everything has gone up, has turned up the way. Eventually, greed was going to get involved. And in the Canterbury Tales, there was greed and jealousy is actually, I want to do an amendment to that. Greed and jealousy is the root of evil. I always say that's why you should never get into a business partnership with friends, because once in the Canterbury Tales, the partner's tale was about friends, and they found all this gold. I'll sum it up. So they found this gold and they were going to steal it, but they wanted it for themselves. So they ended up killing each other for it, and they all died, and nobody got the gold. And the reason why they were really good friends at first, but when the money got involved, they ended up killing each other. So don't get involved in the pursuit of money and business when it comes to friends. I mean, business is good, greed is good, but not. But it's so strong that it's going to ruin your friendship, and I've seen it happen with my own friends. They got into business with each other, and once they got into business with each other, they bought a franchise together. They weren't friends anymore. So never do that. If I do go, I usually go into business by myself. I usually am a one man operation. So that's the value that I bring in, my wisdom, my experience, and my time. So basically, what is it? In exchange for pasalubong, in exchange for football boots, in exchange for cheeseburgers, in exchange for Whoppers, I will give you my time, my experience, my wisdom, and the network that I have created. I could always... And now that I'm in prison, now I prove I'm innocent, I could always start the network all over again, start the French Fry Fund. But right now with the pandemic and the online classes, and I've got a lot of unfinished business, especially with the police, then it'll just take time. Like with everything, it just takes so long. I mean, a relationship over here doesn't happen with in just 2 weeks. You can have a relationship with a bar girl, with a prostitute in 2 weeks, but you're never going to. It takes years, an average of at least a minimum a year for a girl to start developing feelings for you. Now with a bar girl, yes, you can have a relationship with her, but it's not really a relationship with her. It's more of a business relationship instead of an actual relationship where trust, respect, loyalty can get involved. It's just a business relationship, which she can have with anybody that has money. But with a real girl, it takes years. Okay, and it might take 1 year, it might take 2 years, it might take 3 years. So that's why it's always good to start them off young. I always say the younger the better. It's like gymnastics, because she's gonna get married anyway. She's gonna turn 18 also. I know for Westerners that's the magic number. It's like before 18, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a crime. You're guilty. But as soon as she goes over 18, okay, everything is perfect. You can make barely legal. Once she's 18, you can make all the porn videos that you want. But a day before or minutes before, oh, it's a crime. So there's a lot of hypocrisy involved. I mean, that's not what this video is about. It's about the law. And of course, the law over here, I have been meaning to do about the age of consent over here. So yes, you could have somebody. Actually, the law over here, there's several court examples of people having sex with somebody over 12 years old. There was one court ruling where the girl died. There was this girl, but she died, and they couldn't prove her age, so the guy wasn't convicted. So that was a technicality over there. She was definitely below 18, but they couldn't prove. But she didn't have a birth certificate or anything legal. I mean, I actually know. I know one girl that told me that she didn't. I couldn't verify her age because I don't have a birth certificate. So if you don't have a birth certificate, somebody accuses you of rape or statutory rape. But if she doesn't, yes, she could be below 18. You could check her dental records, but unless she has a birth certificate proving that she's below 12, then there's no statutory rape. And just as long as it's consensual, and as far as the law is concerned, then he's innocent, because remember, innocent until proven guilty. Now, I didn't make these laws, so don't shoot the messenger. I just work. I just follow them, as you could see. So that's the value that I bring to the table. I know a lot about the culture. I also know about American culture. I am American, but I also was born over here, so I do understand. I do know how to bridge them. And for the 4 or 5 people out there that want a young, beautiful girl, I always say Joy is a perfect example. She's one of these children that you guys are talking about. I knew her 13 years ago when she was, I think, 17, and I knew her for several years. You're talking, so a relationship over here in the Philippines, it's not just 2 weeks. You're talking about years and years. I could know somebody for like five, and I know these girls, and there's some girls that I actually still see, and they're too old for you now. Yeah, they're the first generation is, I think, in their 30s already. See, that's why you have to look at this as a big picture. You can't just look at it in a 2 week vacation. You can't. This is not Amazon where you just or put your credit card in or press the button and the next day it's gonna come up. For the right person, like a Joy, I mean, look, every time you look at that guy's face, he's always got the biggest smile on his face because he's got a real relationship with a real girl. And if he didn't do that, he would have been. And the guy has been divorced 3 times, and they're still married, and they have a beautiful family. Okay, that's just an inarguable example. And people always throw it in my face. Oh, that's just one example. Well, how many the hell examples do you need? How many marriages do you do? How many do you need? You only need one. So it doesn't matter how many successes there are. The fact that they could be proven. And I've actually have helped 3 girls go to America, and not just one. So not just 2, but 3. I don't know about the others. I kind of lost touch with them. Why? Because I'm just one person. But I know there was 3. One was retired military contractor, and that kind of got ugly. I'm not saying all military people are bad. It's just that they have their own culture, and they have their own way, and it doesn't jive, or it's not with civilian life, which is why there's a high rate of suicide among them. It's making the adjustment. They're just so structured that there's no flexibility, and when they try to apply it with other people, and basically they think they own you, just like the military owns them. So they just kind of treat people the same. They treat people the same way they're treated. So which is kind of natural. It's human nature, but how they treat people in the military does not work with how you can't. Just because that's how they treat you in the military doesn't mean you can't treat other. And the military owns you. So when they think that they've got money and they paid you, all of a sudden they think they own you. Oh yeah, you own my time, but you don't own anything else. That's it. So I'm not saying they're good or bad one way or another. Maybe yeah, it's hard to difficult with. Given a choice, I'd rather not. But I'm flexible, so I try to work with people in the military as much as I can, even though I prefer not to. I not that I have bad experiences with them, but I just find them difficult because of that mentality, or just because of that culture. So, so to sum it up, that was round 1, and so if you have no problem, I mean, it's I have to tell you this story. So I had one of my friends that I helped him, and I actually used online. This was in the early stages of the internet, where you could actually find somebody decent online. Now you can't find it anymore. Everybody online is all trolls, scammers. It's all these apps or websites now. It's just avenues for cam girls or girls to become cam girls, or for them to be sent money. And then once they send money, that's not a relationship. And then sending money without guidance, it's like giving a child a loaded gun. And their defense, they do it because they have no choice. Okay, they don't have anyone like me to help them. And in their defense, I'm only one person. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna go to bed with only for this. I'm gonna do it myself. And then what you're gonna once you send money to a girl without any guidance, you're basically turning her into a scammer, cam girl, and money without time is a recipe for disaster. But anyway, so let's go back to in my case, in my situation, and what happened. Where did it go wrong? And like I said, greed. I think the biggest problem they ran into is that girls and their parents thought that, like, that I was being sent their money and I was spending it and I was controlling it. It's true to a certain extent because I can't give them. Our policy is always we can't give you money. We can give you food, we can give you medicine, we can give you school supplies, but we can't give you money. And what is it that they need money for? Well, those things. Well, why would they need? If I'm already spending the money on those things that you need, then why do you need to hold the money? And it means that they want to spend the money on something else, or they want to have control over the money. And I go, that's fine, but you'll end up spending it on your boyfriend, on tattoos, on drugs, on gambling. Maybe not their own gambling or they're not their own drugs, but definitely they have, because they're pretty girls, they're going to have these relationships with these boys. So money gets involved. So now the police gets involved. And there's another side story, but that's kind of too long right now. This video has gone long enough. So the police are involved. And of course, the police, I go, okay, the police will get involved. They're only going to get involved because if they smell money. Okay, and then you already saw that this is cybercrime. So they're experts in cybercrime. They're also experts in committing cybercrime. So here in the Philippines, the cybercrime police, not only do they solve cybercrimes, they also commit cybercrimes. That's just the culture. That's just, it's like the police need money. Right now, the police need money. And right now, they're thinking of ways to get money, legally or illegally. Okay, in their defense, how else are they supposed to get money? You have money, and they're police. They can use their guns. They could use the law. They could use these complainants. They could use these people. If the police said that you do what we say, or we're going to search your house under threat of going to prison and being arrested, then you're going to do this. Then you'll do it. Once you get I'm sure they regret doing this mistake, getting the police involved, becoming a police asset. Because when you become a police asset, for men, you have to either sell drugs or kill somebody for them. Just like the video that I made where that one civilian, the police. So there were I did a video about the online seller that was burned, that was killed and burned. And they say the police didn't do it, but they had a police asset, a non-police do it, some gopher to do it. So for men, they're required to give them either kills for somebody, or we'll put you in prison, or sell drugs, or we'll put you in prison. And for girls, it's when it comes to police and girls, it's like either give me sex or go to prison. And in this situation, they were going to use these girls, not sex for themselves. Maybe that's a possibility one way or another, but to me. So they told the girls, sell yourselves to him. So it was sex. They were using the girls for sex, but not to them directly. It was to me. So they said, you got to offer yourself to them. So it was them. The police told them, I have testimony actually when the girls were asked whose idea was it to go to the hotel. And the girl says, the police. It was the police's idea. I have black and white testimony of that, which I will get to. But I wanted to go first in the beginning. So that's the reality. When you get involved with the police, see, these people are stupid because greed has come in. They're just thinking, oh, we're gonna get money to settle the case, so the case will go away. Nah, because the police are not gonna let you settle the case, because the police got their money, and if I ever got out, then they're going to lose more than their job. So they said, so they use these girls for sexual purposes. Okay, imagine if you have a daughter and the police say to you, okay, we're going to use your daughter. We're going to even though she's a virgin, we're going to have her vagina examined. She's going to go in a hotel, and we're going, it's like, okay, well, can we just arrest him when he shows up? Go, no, we're not going to do that. Can we just arrest him after eating? No, we're not going to do that. He has to be at a hotel. We're going to have the camera crews ready already and everything. So this is the reality. So now if you're a parent, and I'm sure there are some parents out there, and whether you're a good parent or you're a bad parent, I'm sure, I see my kids every day. Now there's going to be people watching this. It's like they haven't seen their kids for years. If you're one of those people that haven't seen your kids for years, then you're a bad parent. Let's just say that. It doesn't mean you can't be a good parent again. But would you, if you had a daughter? I had this one conversation in in the comments with somebody who has a daughter. Would you agree to it? She said, yeah, we'll lure you. I'll use my daughter for sexual purposes. And what those sexual activities are, I can't really talk about it publicly, to lure this person, because I'm one of these people. You can't just bring me to a hotel. Even I think John Doe says, yeah, I got to have a deposit. I got to have a down payment before, so I know that it's a clean but we're not going to get into that. Okay. Now, if you were that person, if you were, would you agree to it? Well, how are you going to lure it? Well, they know what it is, what they have to do to make sure that that person goes. And they will go to that far to make sure that person goes. Are you going to allow it? Of course, I already know the answer to it, because that's a Westerner kind of first world thinking. And what I always say, there's nothing more stupider than applying your own standards. But this is the Philippines. Here, the parents will say, hell yeah, go for it. Because we need money, and not only were they still going to sell their kidneys, they're going to sell their own flesh and blood for money. That's how important money is over here. When it comes to money, remember in the Canterbury Tales, when you're dealing with a poor country, you have to know what the culture will do when it comes to it. And this is how far it will go. I was minding my own business. I've never touched these girls, as you could see. I would never, like I said, it's like for me to get in any sexual relationship, I need intimacy, or I'm not going to get it up. Okay. I have this problem now that before, when I was younger, I don't need intimacy. I just need an excuse, or I just need a place. Now I need intimacy, or I'm not going to finish. Okay. It's just that's what happens as you get older. And if there's, and I've tried it before, and if there's no intimacy, I just can't finish, and I just get soft. So the girl has to want it. Well, they definitely wanted it, but as you could see, for this reason, not for the real reason. This is, like I said, this has never happened to me before, so I'm not saying one way or the other. But usually, if a girl wants it, then you pretty much have no choice. Has that ever happened to me? Maybe, maybe not. That's kind of personal. That's between me and private properties. At the end of the day, of course, I'm a gentleman. I don't kiss and tell. So for this purpose, so the police can steal money for money. Like I said, I always say in their defense, it's like, how else are they going to have money? Here in the Philippines, stealing money is normal, especially for police, because they can use their job to steal money. Especially in, like, my car right now is, I don't know what state it's in, but, and why would they do that? Well, they'll get in trouble. Well, that's, as you can see, that's tomorrow or the next day or the next year. They don't worry about tomorrow or the next year, because they could be shot anytime right now. Just like John Paris, he's still missing to this day. Still can't find him. So he's probably swimming with the fishes right now. And like I said, I asked my attorney, I was like, do you know what happened to him? He says, yeah, but it's not related to your case. It's another case. So they have everything. They searched my house. They arrested me, and here's the receipt of evidence. As you can see, cell phone, camera, tripod, credit cards, and then same thing, Union Bank, ATM, driver's license, money. So this is their evidence. And this is it. This is in black and white. And I already showed you. People always say it's sex toy. You forgot the midget. You forgot the donkey. Where does it say there? It doesn't. So can I clear that up? Of course, because when they're making something up, why not include that already? But here's the documented evidence that there was no sex toy, because if there was, there would be evidence in here. So can we settle that already? I know, I think Hemi has brought that up. What is it? I mean, I already showed you the documentation. If there was, then where was it? The evidence in the receipt of object evidence over here. I already showed it to you in black and white, and there's no evidence of it here. So can you settle that? You know, that it's like lies upon lies, so they can, and people over here, you already know, everybody watching this video who's having the experience already know that people are gonna lie for money. That's the easiest thing for them to do. So why can't you just believe that there's no evidence of it? Even if there was, okay, I even made a comment, or I said they should have a law against it, and the person commented back, well, I'm not saying that's against the law. Then then it should be private then, or then it's a private thing. Well, as you can see, privacy, there is no privacy here. I've said that those are the top 3 reasons that you're going to leave the Philippines. 1 is inconvenience. Number 2, you're going to run out of money. And number 3, the biggest problem is privacy. There is no privacy here in the Philippines. Over there, like for example, in America and a lot of Western countries, it's a God-given right. Everybody has a right to privacy, and people fight tooth and nail for it. Over here, as you can see, there is no privacy. They'll get into your private lives with or without a search warrant. As you could see, they got an illegal search warrant, and they didn't even have a search warrant. Even with all that, there is no evidence of human trafficking. One of the main reasons why is I don't need to. They sell themselves. Okay. Their own daughters for money, they'll do it. For people, the culture over here, like I said, but when the police are involved, they didn't sell the girls sexually directly to themselves, but they use sex to get money from the girl, so they can get money. So they use the girls for sex to get to me. So that's probably like their mistake, and I don't know what that's going to lead to, and I'll just leave it up to karma for them and their involvement with the police now. So it's gonna get nasty. I don't know what's gonna happen, because whatever happens, once the police get involved in your lives, it's usually going to be not here in the Philippines. The police are the worst people to get involved with, because it's always going to end up badly. So never get the police involved here in the Philippines, as you could see. But they made the choice to do that, and they have to live with those choices. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get into this judicial affidavit. So as you can see, let's sum it up. The police got involved here. They ran into a problem. We ran into the medical legal report, and she says she's a virgin. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do the judicial affidavit? So this is round 1. Here's round 2, and there's a third round in here that I'll get to. I will get to it. Just be patient. So for the people that are impatient, you're just going to have to wait, because number 1 is I just do this out of my free time. Now, if you're like people in the military, you think you own me, you own my time, you think that you could tell me what to do, just like the people in the military, they own you, they tell you what to do, and you do it. They say jump, you say how high. That's not the case in this situation, okay? Do you see me getting super chat? Are you paying my bills? The answer is no. But of course, a lot of Americans, it's natural for them to feel entitled. It's natural for them to be overprivileged. Okay, you're getting this out of the kindness of, you're getting this free information for free out of the kindness of my heart. So show some respect. Show some humanity. Show some decency. Okay. So I know the information is important, but be appreciative, because I'm not getting a penny for sharing you this information that's going to save your life. Okay, so I've already showed you that in this case, I was in this situation: human trafficking 9208, rape, and child pornography, which was over here in the medical report. She is a victim of sexual abuse, and didn't say rape, and child pornography. And of course, there's no injuries whatsoever. There's no evidence of it whatsoever. Even after they searched my house, even after they arrested me, there is still no evidence. What else the hell do you need to prove that I am innocent? There's no evidence of it, just like he said. So let's go to the judicial. So now the prosecution has to put together a judicial affidavit now to prove that I am guilty of these three things. So here's the story of that night. Here's their version of the story. So let's get to it. And I'm finally going to get to it. Here is in black and white. A lawyer prepared this so they could bring it to the judge, and so they can make formal charges of human trafficking, rape, and for some reason they accepted it. And this is the story that they said. So I'm going to translate it. Most of it's in Tagalog, and I crossed out some of the personal information to protect the innocent, especially me. So remember, there's two girls over there. So set this up. The police said, okay, we're gonna steal money from him, but we're gonna use you girls to lure him with sex and into a hotel. How they did it, I probably discussed it in some detail during the last temptation of Bebot only. But like I said, it's not something for public consumption. But anyway, let's get to what they said in black and white. So here they said a bunch of stuff about how we met, how we've known each other for like almost 2 years. Let's just say 2 years. So you're saying this person's 15, you've known her since 13. Yeah, you can make that assumption. You can make that deduction based on your math. But like I said, when she was 15, she was still a virgin. And now she's 18. And what? It's okay to have sex with her now that she's 18. Well, the problem is she's definitely not a virgin anymore. Like I said, because she has tattoos on her chest now. You could see it. It's that big. So the odds are I can pretty much guarantee that she's not a virgin anymore. But back then when she lost her virginity while I was in prison. But when I was out of prison, here's documentation that she is a virgin. So for all those people that are making jokes that I sell virgins, and as you can see, it's not really a joke when the girls that I'm dealing with are not prostitutes. And virgins are not prostitutes. They will never sell their virginity for money. But what they will do is give it to somebody that they have a relationship with, they have intimacy with. That's just how girls work when it comes to their virginity, because they only have it once. And there's actually biological proof to prove it. There's a biological setting in there to show that she is a virgin. But anyway, let's go to the actual. So most of it is like, okay, how did you guys meet? And then let's go to the night in question. So it says here the question is when did you guys meet again? She said so we saw each other. I'm gonna sum this up. If you can translate it, go ahead and translate it. We're supposed to meet at 3 o'clock on July 20th to have a get together on July 20th, 2018. But at 8 o'clock that day, that's when he picked us up. I was actually told them that, you know what, let's just do it the next day. I'm tired. I've had a long day. I've been practicing, but they said no, we need to do it now. Because I go, why can't we just do it tomorrow? No, we have another project tomorrow. We're gonna. So the whole time, as much as I didn't want to, and I said, okay, fine. Well, I have good news anyway. I have money for braces, which the police stole also in the form of my Bitcoins. So, and from my Union Bank account. So I said, okay, we'll just eat and then we'll go home and then that's it, like we always did before, according to this medical legal report. But tonight was a different story. So let's go on here. So after he picked us up, we went to Shakey's to eat, and so after that we went to after that we ate. We went to we were going somewhere. And then all of a sudden they said we entered the hotel. Nagpasok kami sa isang hotel. So all of a sudden this is their story. Okay, we went to Shakey's. Then all of a sudden we got in the car. We were going somewhere, and then he all of a sudden he went into a hotel without any detail. Like all of a sudden it's like where were you going? No, but there's no detail of that. Why'd you get in a car? Why was there, like, did you tell them you want to go home? No. All of a sudden we just went to a hotel. And the reality was that I said, okay, well, we'll just go see them. No, we have to go to a hotel. We have to have sex. We have to go to a hotel. And I go, no, it's like we wanna drink in a hotel. If you want to drink, well, you could just drink. There's plenty of bars wherever you guys want to sing karaoke, and we've done that before. We've had drinks at karaoke's at bar. We I have video of that, and then after that, we just went home. Fine, because remember, all I'm asking for is time. Okay, it doesn't have. The first thing is you just them the most important thing for them to do is convince them is time. I want to have drinks, I want to have experiences, I want to have bonding moments with these girls, so when you arrive, the bonding with them is going to be natural for them. So it's already, the table is being set up, because it's for me, what's important is bonding, because that's how we establish intimacy, that's how we establish a relationship over time. How much time? A lot of time. You're talking about years and years and years. But for some people, they only have 2 weeks, and that's where bar girls come in. But if you're looking for an actual real relationship, which is kind of, I think at this point, maybe obsolete. I can make arguments for it one way or another. It's going to take years. How many years? Well, usually the general thumb of rule is the prettier they are, the longer it's going to get. The uglier they are, as you could see, if you only got 2 weeks, then the ugly is going to be just fine. It's beautiful then. That's probably another argument why a lot of foreigners like the ugly, because that's the only thing available, and that's the only thing that's going to create a relationship with them in 2 weeks. But versus here, it's going to take years. Not 2 weeks, but 2 years. And like I said, that was 3 years ago. She's 18. This is not a person you want to have a relationship with now, because she's got tattoos. And you can't form a relationship with somebody that has tattoos, because you can't make a relationship out of a bar girl. You can't make a wife out of a prostitute. So, so what happened next? Okay, so all of a sudden we went to a hotel. So this is where it gets kind of juicy. So we went inside, the car went inside the room, and it was one of those drive-in garages, kind of discreet. So they're saying that we went into the room, and and they said that I started drinking the Red Horse that they got at 7-Eleven, and I started telling stories. This is what they're saying. Now, the Red Horse and the 7-Eleven that's what they wanted to do. It's like, oh, we want to go drinking. We want to go drinking. And go, okay, are you sure? If you want to go drinking, we'll just go drink at a restaurant bar. And no, we gotta have it at a hotel. We insist. You go, fine, if that's what you want, we'll do what you want. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of a pushover. So if that's what you want to do, so we want to be able to relax or something like that. And I said, okay, fine. But the Red Horse was never actually opened. We never actually used it, because the police already showed up. So let's go to the rest of the story. So afterwards, maya po ay hinubadan niya kami. So he said afterwards, after we started drinking, he started drinking, telling stories. He undressed us. So that was it. So there's not really any details of how or what. He just undressed us. This is you're the lawyer. So how did he get you to undress? He just did it. There's two of you there. No, he just undressed us. So you didn't undress yourselves, so he'll get undressed. No, he's the one who undressed us. But there's two of you. Did you want to be undressed? It didn't go into detail. He just how does one person get two girls to undress? They'll undress only if they want to. If they don't want to, how am I gonna do that? How am I gonna undress two girls? Okay, you stand there and watch while I undress one. Then after I'm done with her, you're just gonna stand there and wait for your turn to get undressed also. So they're saying the reality is probably they got undressed themselves. I didn't do it. You could probably deduce that if they did get undressed, let's say they did get undressed, and that's not because of I told them to do it. So, but they're saying over here that I told them to get undressed. So I undressed them. It doesn't say in here that I told him. He says afterwards, hinubadan niya kami. That means he undressed us. is the literal the translation there. Tapos gusto po afterwards. Tapos I wanted them to use this black. They didn't even describe it as a. It's like it looks like a private part of a man. they couldn't even say it. That's what it says. And afterwards, I told them, this is what it says. Sabi po niya, kami po ni name, that they were gonna have sex together, and I'll video it. Okay, so they're saying that I'll video it. So they're saying, of course, there's no evidence of this. Of course, this never happened, but this is their story that they said, you guys have sex together, and I'll take a video of it. So sabi po namin, so we said, we don't want to. so we're at this hotel, they're undressed, and then I told them, okay, you guys have sex with each other, and now if you're a 15-year-old, just like Dave Chappelle said, you have the mind already. At your 15, if somebody doesn't want to have sex with you or you don't want to be there, you just get the hell out. You're just like, see you later. I'm 15. If I don't want to be here, I'll just get the hell out. Now, if I told you to get undressed, you take off right away. But not only are these girls undressed, and they're still sitting there. They're still standing there. I told them, okay, now that you're undressed, I'm gonna tell you to have sex with others. And they go, no, I don't want to. You would have taken off a long time ago before that happens. But they're still saying, now a lawyer who's preparing this should be disbarred. I go, this is complete lies, because you're not supposed to, it's against the law to lie at a judicial affidavit. But over here we go. So after the girls undressed, they still didn't run away. I told them to, after they're undressed, I said, okay, have sex with each other. Now that you're undressed, so when you got undressed, they didn't say they didn't want to. It's just I undressed them. They didn't fight. They didn't struggle. They didn't cry. They didn't complain. They didn't yell. After that, I told them, okay, have sex with each other so I could take a video of it. So they said, nah, we don't want to. So even after that, it says here, so, and lumapit po siya sa akin. So, and then he came closer to me, and then it says, at naramdam ko na lang po at, so, and I felt something, and also he hinawakan na po niya ang dede ko. And so that means the literal translation is he held my boobs. He held my breast. Hinawakan po niya ang dede ko. So held my breast. Now, so they're undressed. I told them to have sex with each other. The video, they still haven't run away. And still, they didn't run away. So even after, she says, I approached her, and she felt something, and it was me holding her breast, as you can see here in black and white. A lawyer, I repeat, a licensed lawyer prepared this. So you're saying, okay, he held your breasts, and he bent me over. So he held my breast, bent me over. There's two of them, okay? They didn't say there's no yelling or screaming, there's no fighting, there's no struggle. Then he bent me over. Okay, now even at 15, if somebody bends you over and you don't want to be bent over, you're going to say, I'm not bending over. And it says here, itinutok. So itinutok is I pointed. My are means my part, my private part, my personal part. They couldn't even say my dick or my penis. It just says his private part. Oh, who's preparing this? Why can't they just say his penis, his tite? Why did they have to say are? They have to be vague. And then she says, ang parang ang tigas po. It's her statement. She said, and it's like, it's hard. She said, and he pointed his private part, are. Are is not penis. He just said his part. And and she's saying it's like hard. Para ang tigas po. Then it gets more interesting. Also, I felt something hard, and it was painful in my butt, sa puwetan. Poet means butt. And she says, and her butt, and she said, it made me cry. So this is the first. So after he bent me over, so we got undressed, told us to have sex. He said no. I said, okay, well then I'll bend you over then. And then she said, okay, while she's bending over, she felt something hard. Now, if you feel something hard entering your butt that's going to make you cry, you would take off. Unless you want it there in your butt, you would just get up, stand straight up. If you just have to stand straight up, there's going to be no, but you know how hard it, let's just be real over here. It's not easy for a virgin. I mean, if her pussy is a virgin, if her vagina is a virgin, then how much tighter her butt is going to be. You know how hard it is to get somebody who's never had sex to have anal sex. I mean, they have to sit there. There's no way they're going to sit still while I sit there, and it's gonna, if it doesn't go in right away, it's gonna get soft. That's just the reality of it. It's just like condoms. That's why I hate condoms. And people get soft there because they got to put it in right away. Because if you don't put it in right away, it's gonna get soft. And if I don't get it, and to have anal sex with a virgin, she has to lay there and sit still, very still. And there's no way, if you have any experience with somebody who has no experience, they're gonna buck. They're gonna be all over the place. And this is consensual. This is consensual anal sex. Imagine how hard it is. And if it's a rape anal sex, it's gonna be even impossible. Let's just be real over here. And a man lawyer prepared this. So she said that I pointed my private part, and she said it felt hard, and she said it hurt. So she said it was hard and it hurt in my butt, and she cried right there in black and white. And then what? So this is it. Afterwards, the police came and arrested him. That's it right here. So apparently we're having anal sex. She cried. That's her description here. So after we had anal sex, boom, the police came and arrested him. Think about this. You're a lawyer and you heard this and you're like thinking, so that's your story? And we're going to, now I would say there's too many holes in this. I'm going to need, if that's the case, I'm going to need evidence of it. Okay. Yeah, but it was in my butt. So there's no hymen in my butt. There's no evidence of it. Okay, but still, the doctor would have examined her butt and they would see some bruising, especially if it's rape, there's going to be evidence of rape, even in the butt. There was no mention of that here. He examined the breast, he examined the body, her whole body. I mean, if somebody just raped you in the butt, like the Kobe Bryant one, there was blood. But there's no injuries. So if you're a lawyer, it's like, I can't be taking this story if I have no evidence of injury to your body. And that's what Kobe Bryant, the girl was all into it until he stuck it in her butt. And there was a lot of injuries. There was the physical evidence against Kobe Bryant was there was blood. Especially with somebody who's not, there's going to be injuries to her butt. But as you can see, there's no injuries of it. So that's how they explain. So this explains the hymen, but it doesn't explain anything else. But it does explain the credit cards, as you can see. That's why they were adamant about getting this done, because they were planning on stealing money. So they were going to use sex to steal money. Okay, and then we needed, so here, so this is one story. Well, wait a second. You're saying that, wasn't there two girls there? Yeah, absolutely. One was 15, one was 16. And how come there's no medical legal report for the 16-year-old? Aha, let's get to this, right? So they said, but here's pretty much it. The girl said she had anal sex. She's saying that she felt it in her butt. She cried. And then after we were having anal sex, after it was finished, the police came and arrested him. Now, if you were a parent or a father, would you agree to this? Hey, let's have my daughter have anal sex. so you guys could steal money? You'd say hell no. But here there is nothing more natural. There is nothing more common. There is nothing more easily. It's like, oh, okay, because of money. Anything for money. Rape, murder, sex, drugs. Just as long as money is involved, anything is possible. So just as long as anything good is possible, anything, you can get a nice young virgin with your money. You can also get the police involved and extort you for money because of money and put you in prison and murder you because of money. So let's go to the second testimony then. So there was a second testimony. Let's talk to, so you already saw, so after he raped me in the butt, after he sodomized me, the police showed up. So the police with their search, after the search warrant, only showed up after she was sodomized. There's no evidence of it that she was sodomized, but the police showed up after, because the police can't show up before the sodomy. They have to show up after the sodomy. So would you agree to this? If you were a parent, absolutely not. I already know the answer. But over here in the Philippines, the answer is for money, anything. For money, anything. Okay. So let's go to the second testimony. So the second girl. So we go to the second judicial affidavit. Remember, a lawyer is overseeing this. Now, if you lie in an affidavit, that's perjury. That's a crime. And also a lawyer could be disbarred for organizing a putting together a lie that he knows is a lie. Okay, so let's go to the second testimony. So July 20th, 2018 at 8 o'clock at night, we were picked up. We were picked up and we rode in a brand new red car and we ate at Shakey's. So that's pretty much let's focus the translation over here. And afterwards we ate at Shakey's for a half an hour. It was actually more like an hour, not a half an hour. But anyway, that's just splitting hairs. So we ate at Shakey's, she's saying, for a half an hour before, I'm just doing it for completeness sake, before we went to before he took us to the hotel. And before that, we bought Red Horse at 7-Eleven. So, and then they said, so what happened next? So it's pretty much consistent. The story before is how we met, how we can get into that. It's pretty much okay. Like I said, because at first they said that I was, in the story was, first is they said that I was nice in the beginning. And then afterwards they said I started becoming demanding after that. And I always say, it's like the first one's free. I always say the second one, I got to get something in return. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I didn't make up that rule. That's a universal rule. There's no such thing as, but the first one is free. Then after that, I started demanding more of their time. I didn't want them to eat and run. I wanted to do more bonding. I wanted bonding in return for their free food. Okay, and if they didn't want to give it to me, that's when I started becoming demanding. If you don't like it, then don't show up. Then don't meet me. But for food, is it fair to ask you for in exchange for your time? That's perfectly fair. There's no law against that. You're doing it every day at your job. For your salary, you're whoring yourself out because you're just a cheap whore. Your time, your soul, just for a paycheck. Okay, exactly. Is it illegal? No, it's not illegal. You're going into it. Same thing over here. Is this illegal? For you to have food, you're going to have to spend time with me. If you don't like it, then don't show up. If you don't like your job, then don't show up. But they want to eat. Well, then this is the cost. If then you want to go hungry, then go hungry. But obviously, so that's pretty much the story. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm telling you, that's how it works. And obviously, you can't do it because it's going to take more than 2 weeks. So let's get to the rest of it. So the same story in the beginning is our car entered into a hotel with a garage. So it's one of these drive-in type of motels. And we went upstairs to the room. Okay. Let me focus. Afterwards, they said I started telling a story. So I started telling stories. So it's pretty much the same. And while I was drinking, which I wasn't drinking, I like everybody knows I don't drink. This is something that they asked for and they didn't want to drink it, so we didn't drink it. So they asked for it and they didn't even want to drink it. And I said, I'm not going to drink. I don't need to drink. But they said they got it because they wanted to drink so they could relax, but they didn't do it. They wanted it actually as a prop. Okay, so they wanted it to be there. So I said, okay, but I'm not drinking. So it was, they didn't drink, I didn't drink, nobody drank it, but they're saying that I drank it. If you do the alcohol test on me, I don't, everybody knows I don't drink beer. So so afterwards, same thing. It says, okay, afterwards, he undressed us. Maya po. Afterwards, later on, he undressed us. Maya po at hinubaran, right there in black and white. So after we got dressed, so so he undressed us. So after we get undressed, so that's the story. There's no detail of how I did it, how I undressed two girls. So are you saying? So just imagine they're saying, so afterwards, after he was drinking and telling stories, he undressed us. So imagine two girls just standing there while I undressed them. And if you were 15 or 16, if somebody's undressing you and you didn't want to be undressed, then what would you do? But obviously, they are undressed. And after I undressed them, they said, I showed them, so at may pinakita po siya sa amin. And after that, he showed us a parang. It's it's not, it's not what it is. It's like a man, she says, it's like the object. Parang ari ng lalaki. If you can translate that, it's like the private part of a man. They don't say it's a sex toy. They don't say it's a dildo. If it is a sex toy, if it's a dildo, then just say it. Parang ari ng lalaki. It's like a private part of a man. That's what they said here. It's like, if you're preparing this, what the heck? Is it a dildo? Is that? No, it's like that. It's not really like that because because there is none. Okay, if it was, they just say it. And sabi po niya, and then here's a, let's say, so can you just say even in their own test, in their own judicial affidavit? As a matter of fact, and when during the cross-examination, they didn't even ever bring this up. Why didn't they ever bring it up? Because it's just imaginary. So, okay, I'm running out of storage space here, so I need to finish this up. So sabi po niya, so I told them to it's like this private part. They told me they said, I told them to wear it. Sunod. So they say, okay, so I told one of the girls to wear it. That's what they're saying. Sinabi ko niya to wear it, and so they could have sex. Okay, and so they could have sex. So I told them wear it, and you know what they said? Oh, we said no, we don't want to do that. Okay, so they said no, we don't want to do that. We'll sit there and let you undress us, but after that, we don't want to do that. Pero, oops, let me get rid of that. Well, sometimes I'm. But before that happened, so let's get to that. She said that I touched her friend's breast. Pero nauna po nakahawakan ni ang breast ni. So but before they could have sex, she said I was holding the breast of her friend at his are, at yung are. So they're saying my part, my are, my possession, at yung are po niya ay nakatutok. So they're saying I'm pointing at her butt. So this is kind of this is where, how do you know? So if you're watching something, now the butt and the vagina are just millimeters apart. How does she know that I'm putting it in her butt? Okay, because unless she's right underneath it, but if she's not right underneath it, or she's it's like, how does she know exactly that I'm putting it in her butt? Okay, you have to have a pretty good angle. But for her to say that, but before that, but before we had sex with each other, she said that I put my part in and I pointed it at her butt. So afterwards, so this is after I pointed it at her butt. Afterwards, I bent her over. So it says here, pagkatapos siyang, I said, I pointed, okay, let me correct this. She says, I pointed it in her butt after I bent her over. So, it says here, natutok sa may puwetan ni her friend, pagkatapos siyang patuwidin ng bigla. So she said, I pointed my privates in her butt after I all of a sudden bent her over. Na lamang po na may dumating sa police na huli po. So then afterwards, the police came and arrested him. And then here it is. So the lawyer says, pagsamananta ay wala mo na akong itatanong sa iyo. Ay nais na pang pagdagdagan o bawasan na yung salaysay. So she said, at this moment, so this is the funny part. So at this moment, I don't have any more questions. I assume this is the lawyer. I wasn't there when this judicial affidavit was created. But she said, as far as I have no more questions. So if you're the lawyer, you're going to say, the lawyer says this, oh, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I have no more questions. How about you? Do you have anything else to add or take away at this point in your testimony? And the witness says, no, I don't have anything else to say at this moment. So now you're a lawyer and you saw this. Are you actually going to put your license on the line for these kind of this story? There's and then you're not asking any details, right? Where is the human trafficking? Yeah, clearly it says here human trafficking. Where's then the police showed up and arrested him. Where's the transaction? Where's the Korean customers? Where is the boodle money? Where is the actual testimony of me offering the girls for sex? Absolutely none of that. This is it. This is the judicial affidavit. It says right there, do you have anything else to add? No, I don't have anything. I don't have any more questions. But after all that, they were able to say human trafficking. Get that. Rape. Get that. Child pornography. Is there anything in here that says that? They're saying that, and then the police showed up. It's like he was sodomizing. So now you're 15, you're 16. Okay, maybe this could happen to Elizabeth Smart, who's like, okay, well, I'm just going to be I'm only 8 miles away from my house, or I think it was 15 miles away from my house, and I'm not going to go there. That's just like Dave Chappelle says, that's only 2 exits. You don't have a quarter where you could just just call, right? So here it is. There's 2 girls over here, 15, 16. They got undressed. I told you to have sex, and you're still going to stand there. You're not going to yell. You're not going to scream. You're not going to struggle. You're not going to fight. And then here you are. The second girl says, this is what you just watched your friend. This is your friend get sodomized. And then the police just showed up, and a lawyer actually prepared this. This is the reality over here. You can make up any lies over here, and they will file any case against you over here. And the simple motive is just money. They will make up any lie. They will use up anybody and file any crime so they could just steal money. Now, this isn't just, when it comes to criminals over here, this is where you need to get scared. This is where you should scare the living crap out of you. Is that this is not a crime where it's opportunistic, where all of a sudden you're just holding your cell phone or you're holding your bag, then somebody comes up and snatches it. Okay. Or randomly somebody's fishing. Okay. This is systematic. This involves the whole entire cybercrime police. This involves all the parents. This involves the judge who allowed the search warrant. This allowed this prosecution, this attorney with a license to put this was a whole system. And then the whole cybercrime using the credit cards. This was a whole system that they had to do just to get money. They will go through all these lengths, get a virgin to get examined, make up these stories, file all these cases just so they can steal money. This is a lot of hullabaloo. This is not just one person. There were social workers over there. There were NGOs involved. They knew that this was going to happen. They knew that, like, okay, we're going to just show up. We're just going to arrest them after the sodomy. As a parent, of course, as a normal human being, you would never agree to that. But over here in the Philippines, there is nothing more accepted, more natural. And this is the dark side of the Philippines. Just as you can have a beautiful relationship, even though regardless of your age, just as long as you have money. In this situation, just as long as you have credit cards, just as long as you have Bitcoin, just as long as you have money for braces, then they will do this. So if you're a lawyer, wouldn't you ask, why wouldn't you ask the question, why didn't you run? Why didn't you ask for help? And then there's the police. Why did you have to do it? Why did you have to arrest him after she was sodomized? Why couldn't you pick her? Why couldn't you have arrested him after the restaurant? And they'll say the same thing. Oh, because he hasn't raped him yet. We can't arrest them for eating at a restaurant. We can't arrest them for them entering in the car. We have to do it at a hotel. We have to have the prop. We have to have the alcohol. We have to have and another thing is, even if she was not a virgin, we would still need injuries. And the fact that if she doesn't have any injuries, then this is still a complete lie. Even if she wasn't a virgin, we still would need signs of injuries. But the fact is, it's not normal for two girls to sit there while a girl is being raped, sodomized, raped. They're claiming sodomy, while the other just watched and they got undressed, and so they could bend over. And you would think that it's like if I got you undressed, that you would be kicking and screaming. No, it's like there's two of them, all right, and they would cause a lot of commotion. But in the reality is, of course, that's not the reality. The police set this up. They staged this. They told the girls what to do to get him undressed, to get him to do these things. So when we show up, it's gonna be one big scandal. And is that something you would sign up for? Absolutely not, of course, but for the love of money. Like I said, these people were murder and use girls for sex, even at 15 years old. So don't talk to me. They have the mindset already to say, even at 15, yes, I will have the police use us so they could steal money. And once the police get involved, you really don't have a choice. You have to do it, or they'll arrest you. That's pretty much their modus operandi. You do what we say, or either you're going to be in jail, you're either going to die, or worse, be in jail. So here it is, finally the judicial affidavit. I know it took several months, but like I said, I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart for the people that are complaining, that are telling me what to do. Then keep in mind, the only person that could tell you what to do is the person that pays your bills. And as long as you don't pay my bills, you can't tell me what to do. And just be grateful and be thankful and be appreciative, even if you're living in this overprivileged, over-entitled. And notice, I didn't say any race, okay? But if the shoe fits. But what I am saying, if that's how you're behaving, then if the shoe fits, then please reflect on your own life. And don't be a Karen, I guess, is what I'm saying. So for all you Karens out there, here is the finally official affidavit. So remember, nobody made a comment. There's really not much comment now these days. I don't know why, or I could probably guess that they probably don't really have much to say. The res ipsa loquitur, the black and white pretty much speaks for itself. So remember, I asked the question, well, what's the explanation? How can you still charge somebody with rape and human trafficking even though she is still a virgin and even though there's no bodily injuries? Oh, well, it was in the butt. And she's saying not only that she got raped in the butt and then she cried and then her friend watched her do it. And then the police arrived with their cameras, so you guys could all see and so you could all see my humiliation. But now here I get to tell my side of the story. The next, I will probably talk about the cross-examination. Yes, it's a judicial affidavit, but you do have a right to cross-examine your accusers. And we'll get into that later on in another future video. But I want to set this up. And thank you again, Jim Bob, for your contribution. I hope you enjoyed this content, but this is it in black and white. You're not going to get this real life, reality information. And I just want everybody to know what the reality here is in the Philippines. Things that you would never do as a parent, things that you would never do as a child, not only the parents will do, but the police and the social workers that are involved will do. They will put these girls in harm's way and make them do the most unthinkable, even if they're virgins, just so they could steal money. And the question is, how else are they going to get money? Nobody else is going to give them money. Nobody else is going to give them a credit card. But are you concerned is, do you have a credit card? Do you have money? Are you interested in young pretty girls? Yes. If the answer is yes, then be mindful and be wary. I've done this, like I said, over 13 years, and it has had good results, and it's been a good, happy experience, and I've enjoyed it. But of course, there's going to be some bad ones. And the good news is, at least I was able to prove in court that as far as the law of the land is concerned, that we are not doing anything illegal and that we are innocent. So that's the video today. Let me know what you think in the comments. What would you do if you were the lawyer? Would you accept this? Would you sign this? I mean, the person. So I mean, here's the sign by the provincial prosecutor is there. So this was signed by them. So their name, if I were them, I would be concerned about. Yeah, here it is. Provincial prosecutor signed, both of them signed. I'd be worried about if somebody looked at this and said, you prepared this and you didn't ask them, why didn't they run, why didn't they fight, and then they were being raped, and then the police just showed up. Wouldn't you be asking, well, the police, well, why didn't you arrest him? Why didn't you already knew, you already have the search warrant, why didn't you just serve the search warrant? Why did you have to put these girls, why did you have to arrest him after the girl was sodomized? And then and the only explanation is she wasn't sodomized. Then why would you lie on an affidavit? Oh, for the love of money. The cliche is greed is the root of all evil. And just as long as it's just as wonderful things can happen over here if you have money, these are the kind of tragic things. And this is probably what Bebel's Only is about, is to show you the reality here and what people, how far are willing to do. And so you could see who are the real criminals over here in the Philippines. And just like Dave Chappelle said, how old is 15-year-old or 16-year-old really? Just imagine if you were at that age, and would you agree to this? Obviously, I know the answer, but when it comes to money, and if the police are involved, and if the police do it to you, and they'll, as you could see, they'll put you in jail, and you could be innocent, and you didn't do anything wrong, so they could have money, then of course you're going to do it. It's like under the threat of arrest, under the threat of jail, or under the threat of life and death, of course you will do it. And of course you're going to say, oh, but you've never been in that situation. And for the people who are judging me, it's they don't know what it's like to be in that same situation. You were never in I remember when I was getting not arraigned, but I forgot what that was. 3 days you're supposed to be inquested. I told the prosecution, I said, they were the ones who, this was set up. Can't you see this was set up by the police? They were the ones who instigated this. This is what the girls wanted, even if I refused. And this is what the prosecution, I remember this. I don't care if they dragged you in there by your hair. You were never supposed to be there. And just because you were there, this is what the prosecution said to me. And but because you were there, and he doesn't care what the circumstances were, he says, you're guilty, and I'm going to approve this case. And the media was there, and of course he's got to show off. He's got to save face. You're guilty. He has to show that, like, oh, I'm going to put away this bad guy. We need villains in our lives for our jobs, and I was it. This was a witch hunt. This is like a McCarthy communist witch hunt. And for here in the Philippines, they love drama, so of course they're gonna play along with it, and they don't even care if their license is on the line. I mean, I should make an example out of these people, but that's something I have to consider right now. I have to finish this up, and all of that is on my list, and get back to my family's needs, which is right now Hero's school. He's got a quiz again later in social science, and we're going to try to do football training if the weather allows. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. What do you think? Here's the questions in the comments. What would you say if you were this lawyer? Wouldn't you ask, why didn't you fight? Why didn't you struggle? And why did the police allow it? And the answer is, it wasn't allowed. As you could see in the evidence, this is just all lies. So if you look at the statements and if you look at the evidence and clearly they're saying this is a lie, why would you do that as a prosecution, as an attorney, to be disbarred? And because it's a witch hunt, and because why would these girls say that, is because they made the decision. They were either, they say that, they signed this, or they're going to go to jail. And so because their plans were already to steal the money. So they did this on July 21, so they could do this on July 25 through July 29th and August 5th. And people, yes, it is in collections, but I just changed my number, and that's pretty much all I can do about it. And then the rest of my bank account was emptied. So I have money that, of course, the police don't know about, and that's what we're using on auxiliary for now. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know what the future is for right now, but for right now, this is for people that are wondering what happened. This, as you can see, is what happened. Afterwards, after I cried, after he was raping me in the butt and I cried, the police came and arrested him. Unbelievable. But that's the judicial affidavit. And remember, it's perjury to lie in an official affidavit. But this is the reality. You either accept it. If you don't, then you're putting your life in danger. And keep in mind, when the police get involved, when money gets involved, your life is in danger, just like mine. Anyway, let me know what you think. This is Bebas Only. Thanks for watching.